Hey everybody, welcome back to the T26 channel where we talk all things US men's national team. And even though the senior team doesn't have any games until the September window, there's still a lot to talk about in the world of the US men's national team. We can talk transfers, we can talk injuries, coaching updates, and even some player selection and possible position changes that we can get into. And where we're going to start is Tyler Adams. As we all know, Tyler came into the Copa America playing roughly 2 full games over the last calendar year, which is not near enough. And unfortunately, Greg gave him way too many minutes and his body couldn't handle it. When he went back to his club, it was discovered that he had re-aggravated his back injury and actually needed surgery. So he's going to miss all of preseason and he's going to potentially miss the first few weeks of the regular season in the Premier League. And that just doesn't bode well for him in his recovery and his history. Throughout his years as a professional, Tyler has struggled with different injuries and they've ultimately held him back, which is really sad because he is a player that offers a lot on and off the field. And I think he's a really good player for our team and locker room. But as the saying goes, the best ability is availability. And Tyler hasn't been available for us. This injury is the final marker that Greg Berhalter could leave on our program. He clearly had no control over the players or the locker room. And Tyler is the ultimate competitor from what I can tell. He's always going to say, yes, coach, put me in, I'm ready to go. And it's the coach's responsibility to say, hang on, you're coming back from a long string of injuries. We're going to limit your minutes. Next up on our list is to talk transfer news. And so far, the summer transfer window has been a little bit slow for the US men's national team, but the rumors are flying. There were rumors that Tanner Tessman was going to make a move from Venezia to Inter Milan, and that deal ultimately fell through. Honestly, I don't think that deal had a ton of weight to it anyways. Tanner Tessman is a player who's learning and growing and taking steps in the right direction, but ultimately he's not ready for a team like Inter Milan. That is a team that is consistently top of the table, and competition for minutes is extremely high. Tanner's coming off of a season with Venezia in the 2nd division of Italy. He played almost every game, logged a ton of minutes, and that's fantastic for his development. And I would hate to see that stall out at a club like Inter Milan because the team is so deep and the talent levels are through the roof there. So ultimately, I don't think he would get enough minutes to continue his upward trajectory, and I think that he should aim for a smaller club, one that's going to be competing in the Serie A, but one where he's going to actually get on the field and continue to develop as a player. If he stays at Venezia, it's not the worst thing in the world. They are playing in Serie A this year, but I think he could also make a step up to a club that's going to compete for maybe a spot in the top half of the table, potentially the Europa or Europa Conference League. I would love to see that for him, and ultimately I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that this deal fell through. There have been continued rumors that he may go to Fiorentina alongside Weston McKennie, which I think could be a great deal for Tanner. That's a team that is going to be competitive in Serie A, and he's got a good chance to establish himself and get good minutes all the way throughout the season. For Weston, I don't know if that's the right move. He's coming off of a career year at Juventus. I don't understand why he would be seeking a move, especially one within Italy. I think that Juventus has a great opportunity for him to stay and do well, but I'm just not sure that he's in the coach's plans. So Weston has a little bit to figure out there, but a move down in Italy would not be a good move for him in my opinion. And he needs to make a step up in the overall level of competition by making a move to the Premier League, right? We know that the ceiling is similar to that in Serie A in Italy, but the floor in England is much, much higher than it is anywhere else. If he can get a move to a club that's, in the top 8 in the Premier League, that's a good move for him. He's going to get consistent minutes. He's going to learn a new style of play with a lot of hustle and a lot of physicality, which honestly I think Weston needs, right? It's going to keep him mentally checked in, and he's going to have to develop a new grind for the game that he appeared to have lost with the US men's national team this summer. Staying with Juventus, we're going to look at Timmy Weah. After last season where he was playing a little bit here and there, getting some consistent sub minutes off the bench, the general thought was that he was going to have to seek a loan move or a transfer to a different club to better establish himself as a winger or potentially a wingback. As of right now, everything that we're seeing out of the club is that Juventus is actually going to try him up at the striker position. Now, Timothy Weah has always been a solid striker of the ball, but his finishing has not always been great. He can play a ball, he can put his foot through it, and he can absolutely drill a finish, but his technicality in front of goal and his calmness in front of goal have not always been there, and the offensive production overall has been lacking at the senior level. If that's something that he can develop, I'm all for it, right? More depth at the striker position, more depth up top for what will translate to the U.S. men's national team, hopefully. But I don't know if that's really the best move for him, or if he needs to continue to focus on his career and his long-term ability to play the game at a high level at the wing or wingback position. We're going to have to see what the new regime at Juventus has to say and what direction they want to go with him. Next up, and probably highest on my priority list, would be Gio Reyna. Within the last couple of weeks, the Borussia Dortmund camp had essentially released a statement saying that Gio didn't really have a future in the club and he wasn't in the coaching staff's plans. While I think that that's a mistake on their part and they're losing out on a huge talent, that's something that ultimately is out of Gio's control. He can't make them want him anymore. He needs to find a place where he's going to get consistent minutes on the field and he'll be able to continue to gain fitness and continue to grow in his speed of play as well. Gio's vision on the field is unmatched when it comes to his competition with the U.S. men's national team, and he's proven that he can do it at the highest level. 2 seasons ago with Borussia Dortmund, he was coming on as a sub pretty consistently and making things happen, helping them score late goals to either tie it up and save a point or find a winner. Gio Reyna's ability to impact the pace of play of an entire game and really make things happen and pick a lock in the offensive third to release a striker is phenomenal. It's all about getting on the field consistently, staying healthy, and finding a coach that rates him is going to give him that opportunity as a younger player. Currently, the rumor is that Marseille is still interested in Gio Reyna. However, he's not the top priority for Dortmund to work on right now, and he's also not the top priority for Marseille. So we might be looking at a little bit of a later date in terms of when his transfer happens, if it does go to that French club. I think that the French league could do Gio some real good. However, I would really love to see him find another place in Germany or in Spain. I think that the French league can get very physical and very chippy, and I just don't want anything to happen to him given his injury history. He came off of a horrible hamstring tear and then a fractured ankle by getting kicked in the boot in the Nations League against Canada. So again, just given his history, I would like to see him in a club and in a league that prioritizes creativity and pace of play that he can ultimately dictate and continue to grow in. Next, we're going to talk about Christian Pulisic. Since taking a few weeks off after Copa America, he has rejoined AC Milan on their American preseason tour. While I feel great about his status within the club and his importance to the club, I did notice that he was listed in the midfielders category as opposed to the forwards category on one of their recent Instagram posts. This could be something, this could be nothing, or this could be everything for Christian, and only time will tell. I really enjoyed seeing him out on the right wing last season with AC Milan and thought that he really thrived and developed his left foot even further. With the continued rumors that Rafa Leao may leave the club for PSG or other adventures, I think that that's a great opportunity for Christian to establish himself on the left wing as well and give them the versatility to put an effective player on either wing. However, with him being listed as a midfielder, what that tells me is that their new coach might see him as a good option at the number 10. So Christian may be seen running the midfield and being the key to pull the strings in the attack. While I don't think that's necessarily his best position, we have seen him thrive there in the past, and with the tactical ability in the Italian league and the pace not being quite what it is in the Premier League, I just hope that it doesn't impact his mindset or stability on the wing and doesn't really interrupt his confidence when he comes into the U.S. men's national team. That's just something I don't want him to have to think about. I would love it if our best player was playing the same position in his club team as he is when he plays for his country. I think that stability is going to be a good thing for Christian in the long term, as we know he's a confidence-based momentum player. The final update that I have for you guys is around our coaching search. Currently, there's no real updates in terms of a front runner for the position. All that's been released by the Federation is that we are going for top candidates and that money is not an issue. So we are looking at top coaches in Europe. These names could include Patrick Vieira, Mauricio Pochettino, Thomas Tuchel, and even Gareth Southgate, unfortunately, who just finished up with England and placed second in the Euros, which does give him a pedigree of winning, but if you look at the deeper numbers, the team did underachieve when he was in charge. I would not want to see him in charge, but he is available and on the list. What we do know is, unfortunately, Jurgen Klopp turned us down right off the bat. All that flirting he did on the 4th of July was just a tease, and my favorite pick for the next US men's national team manager went out the window on day one. But we also know that the Federation's doing their job and they're reaching out to the best of the best, so that's encouraging. The other encouraging note is that the smaller, younger MLS managers like Wilfried Nancy and Steve Cherundolo are not being seriously considered as frontrunners as it was originally reported. I'm really glad to hear this because while they may be good coaches in MLS and may be on a good path, they're still very young in their coaching career, and I wouldn't want a new coach taking the reins of this US men's national team going into 2026. I want somebody who's an established winner, who's got proven success on the international stage and at a very high level. While they can be fantastic options for us in the long run, I don't think now is the time to bring either of them into the program. Just because we're going after those big name managers doesn't mean we're going to end up with one. All I'm saying is that there's a big gap between Jurgen Klopp and Zidane and Pochettino and Steve Cherundolo. We very well may end up with somebody along the lines of Pellegrino Matarazzo, who is having a lot of success in the Bundesliga, or Hugo Perez, who has been proven at multiple different levels. That wouldn't be a bad thing to land either one of those guys. I'm just saying that it's exciting that we're going after some of these bigger names as well, and that gives me confidence that we are going to end up with the best possible candidate instead of somebody who's related to somebody else in the Federation. Okay guys, that's all I've got today for you. Let me know what your thoughts are on potential transfer rumors and position changes for our players, as well as leave a comment down below in terms of who you think should be the next US men's national team coach. There is going to be a video coming out soon with who I think our top 5 options are and who is going to be the most realistic option to lead us into 2026. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.